Heshe Stungo, Georgie McNac, Joseph Caron, Anio Bristow Fatan, Azazo Ladido. Este Camboha, do it's the Zari Bonaga, Githlitsadidua, Jagetamboha Giron. Mona Aganoat, Jaboziro when Jabozaro when Jaskiro when Jetski, Omalgat, Stizari Bonaga Bona Agiron, Manindaka Bogio, Mangithia Dido, Moin Mona Agaidoi, Bolobotskos of Jetski, Arutkira Fulak Noat, Jaboziro and Jabuza, Manindaka Bogiron and Madigosi Bonaya Agiron, Stijari Bonaga Madigosi Bonaya Agiron, Jabozira Madigosi Bonairon, Stihetki Bonaga Bonaigoron, Githigoron, Mau Imbonaho Noat, Githigoron, Mondas and Jabuza Donzat, Githidoemat, Stihetki Bonaga, Moedon and but you know, Stijari Bonaga Adigosi, Bona Agiron, Manindaka Bogio, Moin, Bombona Hoyen, Jaskirohen, Jatski Moin, Bona Agiron, Bombona Agen, Moi Bozo Ladido, and Moi Bonaida Githia Didon, and Salvatskiro, Moi Bonaida Githia. And Jabuzi knocked the fitta fully Akubani not Dillerback Adito Aksi Nago Fifth Jilly the doctor he mock Stimonine, Bomonayan, Mondes and Bidagi Doiga, Marble Heads he got Akubani fully and Mama Hoga man Muidoe mats Bully Daze Andon Hagaiki falling Manjigas took Dilibek Adito Wahanaksi Mak Bohan Hoiron and Mo Ozafki Wat, Hayak Noat, Fitten Dotka Hayagandot Nak Ma Haida Wat, Duckles Agandot. And Ozafki Wat, Hayagidoemats, and Ozafki Haknoat, Iskira Jayez Doemats, Ozafki Hilahani, Hayagidon, Mo Nakti Jabuza Sukhawat, Oziron, Hombidawat, Sukhawa, Eliza Gandun, Hombidawa, Moit, Noleza Gandun, Bobby Doemat, Sukhawa, Bobby and Mo, Fida Yezidon, Faga Anwat, Nak Eliza, Mo Salagandun. Nakti Moit Nohlezak not Moit Hombidoimats Nagadigas Jabuza Dohan Jaski Hombagidoimats Nox the Ezigon don't do as and Yezagidon Lozades Hombagen Ilo des Thaloagat Moit Hombagidon and Loza des nog lezak noat Bappa jaget ambo hagiron des anda babida jayat skoro gets more again Stongoro dolozi oida moid im nakti im babko moid on domak amona agiron des and those are sometimes Bobet agifezea stungurui mat loza babida wat in moida mo jazuzi magat nak di makwega des ayahan de magan do jakabidon makwai mo nak faida fire hanano mo jakabidon and moida nak nagadiges hayak noat hombida hilagi haya gidomat and nak di jabuzi umalgan nak hombida babtua hanakti cause lugaksi gonat nak di jietsegi wedi daman muzanita des jietsegi wedi mak bumunaidu marat agifezea daino gatogo agifezeido. People used to ask me, how did I learn how to talk Creek? And I told him, I said, well, we stayed with our grandparents. My grandparents knew how to talk Creek, and my parents knew how to talk Creek, and that's all they talked to us was in Creek, and that's how we grew up, and we learned how to. That was our first language that we learned, and then they spoke in Muskogee language to us all the time. That's all it was, cause my grandma didn't know how to talk English. All she knew how to talk was in Creek, and she didn't even speak English at all. The only thing she knew was Creek. And my grandpa, he spoke a little bit of English, but he wasn't very good at it, and he understood it. But my grandma, she didn't understand none of it. She couldn't talk English, and all she knew how to talk was Creek. And there were times when we would go fishing with him and hunting, like my sister said, and he would bring back. Sometimes when he go fishing, he would bring back like squirrels and fish, and sometimes they would eat them turtles. And like I said, they would try to get me to eat it, like try it. But I would always say no, I don't want to try that, And but I did try it one time, and because they used to tell me that it tasted like chicken, but I didn't believe them. And but I went and tried it, and it did. It tasted pretty good, because the way my grandpa would make it, he'd roll it in flour and fry it up, put pepper and all that, and it did taste pretty good. And so my dad and my grandpa, they would like to eat stuff like that, so they would go out into the woods and get, find wild game like that, and they would eat it. And but sometimes we didn't really like eating that, but there were times that we did eat it. And I would probably say that if we had to live off the land like that, I think we would be able to do that, because I would go out and probably hunt for squirrels and fish and whatever else, that's provided for us to eat. I probably would do that. And my grandma, they like to go out and make sofky, and she would get this big old black pot, and they would start a fire and build a fire and put that big old pot there and make sofky. And I was always ready for that sofky to get done, because I love sofky, and when it got done, I was eager to drink it, and because they made good sofky. And then they had, my grandpa had hogs, and they would go and butcher the hogs, and we would eat like hog meat, and we would have plenty of meat to eat. and and so that's pretty much, like what they, would feed us, and I thought that was like good, And my grandma always used to tell me, eat your food, don't waste it, because she always said one day you're going to need that food. And sometimes I think about that, and I always think, well, maybe someday is today, because sometimes, like food seems like it's scarce, and I think about that time she used to tell me, and I guess that's how come I grew up, and I have this thing about wasting food. I don't like to waste food, so every time I eat something, I try to eat up what's on my plate and not waste, because of what my grandma and grandpa used to tell me. And so that's it. And Mado for listening. Thank you very much.